You know, actually, after all the time we spent speculating for Spider-Man, we didn't even get a chance to review it when it was like at its peak.
Yeah.
So if we want to try to get a little brief thoughts in, because
One word is not enough to describe how that movie made me feel.
Man,
It made me feel damp.
yeah, I'm so glad that they showed everything during that orgy scene.
Yeah. I the Eternal sex scene I thought was going to be a little, like, it was awkward and they kind of held back. I think that this was the one where they just, they really fed into it and it worked well.
Yeah. Come to think of it, the Eternals one, it's even more awkward knowing that they're literally just like humanoid robots.
Yeah. And they're trying to pretend to have sex like that.
Yeah.
Or
Do
they are having
have the
sex.
sensations of like...
And if they do, it's just like, it's awkward because that means that what's his name had to like almost program that in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, by the way, you also get horny. And you've probably done this like 30 times before and just forgot about it.
Yeah. Just
You might have fucked the other ones.
Nice.
They might have had orgies in the past and they just didn't know about.
Ew.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ew. Especially because Sprite, those...
Oh my God,
should
no.
read it.
No, I forgot about Sprite being a kid.
Yeah. No, you're done.
No.
No. So
I
Spider-Man.
didn't. No, I didn't. Yeah,
No.
Spider-Man. It's everything that we wanted and asked for. Like I said, Aunt May orgy. All bullshit aside, it is literally like everything that we had seen from leaks. It came true. No surprise. Big spoilers for anybody who for some reason hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, but at this point...
It is what it is. Yeah. I'm not even going to put like a big spoiler warning on the screen because like you fucking missed out. Sorry. It was everything that we had really asked for and more, I would argue. Like I didn't really expect it to go beyond my expectations so far.
Yeah. There was so much packed in that for as long as the movie was, which is a pretty substantial 2.5 hours, it did not feel like it at all. Like, so many just like emotional beats hit and a lot of fan service, of course. Mm-hmm. And Matt Murdock, like...
Yep.
He was only in for like 30 seconds, but as someone who watched the Netflix show, it was like fucking perfect. Great. I'm so glad he's here.
I still need to watch the Netflix show.
Yeah.
I meant to start it soon, but I never got to it.
That's all right.
People who had talked about how in the Spider-Man trailer after the Hawkeye show had premiered, they started showing ads in the trailer for Spider-Man that had like the Steve Rogers, the musical thing. Mm-hmm. And it was in the Spider-Man trailer after we had seen it.
I thought it was a nice touch, yeah.
I think that was a nice touch, and people were speculating, does that mean that there's something to do with Hawkeye in Spider-Man? And I think that that's kind of what they were hinting at, because when you see, spoiler for Hawkeye, if, again, you haven't seen it, when we see the Netflix Marvel Kingpin is in this show, I think it was them kind of nodding at, like, he's in here. You know who else could be in here? A lawyer from, New York.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. After you just said his.
Yeah.
But, he does the little, catches the brick. He's like, how did you do that?
I'm a really good lawyer.
I'm glad that it was just like a little tease. Because it did make you want to be like, why did Spider-Man not question that shit? Because that's like when Stevie Wonder was like, there was like a story about Stevie Wonder when he was like in an elevator and I think like Shaq walked in without saying anything. And Stevie Wonder was like, oh, hey, Shaq. And you're like, wait, wait a minute.
I feel like Shaq is a pretty big presence, like quite literally a pretty big presence to sense. But even then,
it's still one of those things where you're like, how did you know?
How do you know it's Shaq?
I didn't even say anything. I don't know the legitimacy of that story. I think it was from, I forget who it was. It was probably like a comedian. Yeah, that it kind of goes with that idea of like, why did Spider-Man not question that? It's like, he has the Peter Tinkle too?
Yeah.
Like,
is that a Spider-Man?
Oh my God,
is that a lawyer Spider-Man?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh man, I can't wait for that to come out too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I actually had a gripe or two about the movie. I think the idea that Ned was able to use the sling ring and get the portals and open, I felt that was a little convenient. You know.
Yeah.
Also, their use of Lizard and Sandman, like they weren't promoted at all. Like it was Willem Dafoe, Jamie Foxx, and Alfred Molina, being used as like the three main villains that are like being put out there and being interviewed and stuff. So the actor for Lizard, I forgot his name, and the actor for Sandman, Thomas or Hayden Church, I think. Yeah. They weren't being promoted, and I understood why by the time they were cured, because they literally just used they used footage of them from their respective movies. And like the Sandman one was just him it was reversed. Him being like turned back was him turned into in Spider-Man 3.
That's funny as fuck, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice. To be fair, I haven't watched Spider-Man 3 or either of the Garfield ones in a while. I tried starting the Andrew Garfield one with Megan because before we went to go see the movie, we were like, we're gonna binge all the movies.
What a disappointment if they weren't.
Imagine.
Yeah, but carry on.
No, she's a Toby stan now.
Oh, nice.
Voice. But yeah, no, she thinks that Toby is attractive.
Nice.
She likes Tobys.
I'm an Andrew guy.
I am too.
I'm glad he's getting appreciated for what he did and I mean, there was always a sentiment that that he did good as Spider-Man. It was a matter of the script he was given in the movies and the direction. He himself was a highlight, and he was definitely a highlight in No Way Home. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, by far.
He got his redemption.
Yep. We had seen stuff online about him possibly getting the redemption, and I thought that was like the most satisfying thing that could happen. And I'm so glad that it did happen because I didn't actually have much expectation that they would.
Oh, really?
I kind of was like, they probably won't do it. But they did it. And I think it would have been cool if they kind of did like a flashback and like showed the Gwen thing to like visualize it for some people who probably didn't see it. Maybe not the like her snapping her back on the floor, but just the visual of her falling.
3 different unused angles of her just like
like just the thing where it's like her falling and you could kind of like see him like flashing back to that. I think that would have been cool. But I think it was kind of similar in the way that they shot Zendaya, where she's like, you know.
I think that would have been a cool shot, and I'm sure someone will like edit it once the HD version of it comes out, of it being like cut back to back. But I think it was like emotionally like really well directed.
Yeah, that was the shit that almost got me. Motherfuckers were talking about crying in the Spider-Man movie, and I'm sitting there like, man, I mean, like, I'm sure it's exciting, but like, cry? But I do think I almost cried in Endgame or like Infinity War, one of those. So I'm not sure why I was so like skeptical.
Dude, Endgame is one of those movies, like, if I am watching all the way through, I think I will cry by the end. And I've watched it through like 10 times, and each time it's just like a little tear, just like when the hammer comes back and he says, Avengers Assemble. I'm just like,
My girlfriend will watch. Man, this is the most I've ever talked about Megan on here.
The most I've ever talked about.
Yeah, my girlfriend. People are really gonna think like, oh yeah, he doesn't have a girlfriend. He's making this shit up.
He's definitely compensating.
Yeah. We'll watch like The Notebook, and it's just no emotion. Damn. But then like we watch Endgame, and it was like the same thing. I'm sitting there like, they finally did it. They finally did it. Oh my God. They did the thing. Or like Aunt May says, with great power comes great responsibility. And then it took me a second. And I was like, Wait.
I can imagine you.
Wait, Uncle Ben says that.
In the theater, just like next to her.
And then, I was like, no. And then she's like, yeah, I'm fine. It's fucking slumber. I was like, no. Oh, man, the whole movie was crazy.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, they did well with the fan service. But it wasn't so fan servicey to where it just felt like it was a cheap cash grab.
Yeah. I feel like it makes Toby and Andrew's movies better. You know? Like, it's just like Goblins snap, like being taken away from that moment and then being brought back.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. People making the memes where he's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I do think that it was solid, and I think that it's a good starting point for them to kind of do like a soft reboot of Spider-Man. And I think that's their plan. Because at the end of it, people were pointing out that it like felt like a separate short film. They're like, so like after they beat the villains, what was that 10-minute short film that played of like two dudes in a coffee shop and, you know, the girl?
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know how I feel about it, it kind of gave me more of like a Sony shot type vibe. Like it didn't really feel like a MCU movie. And maybe this is just speculating, but it kind of felt like a different artistic direction as well in how they may move forward with the Spider-Man stuff too. To where it's not so like, I'm not saying all the MCU movies are like bright and colorful, but they have like a very specific way of being shot to where they almost kind of feel the same.
I think John Watts as a director really evolved over this film. Like he got pretty experimental with some things, and like especially like Spidey's like fighting style. Like he was doing like throws and like his punches felt like they had weight to them, and I think at the end with the coffee shop scene, like all the adrenaline and stuff of seeing Toby and Andrew fighting with him, all that had died down because then you just realize this guy doesn't have anyone anymore. And like, I love the detail of MJ still having the Black Dahlia necklace on. Like she doesn't know why she has it anymore, but she still has it on. Yeah, and I'm sure it still has some meaning to her, meaning like he's always right there. And then you see the Band-Aid, and it's like, all right. So as long as she knew me, there was always a chance of her getting hurt. So I can't allow this. I have to let that go. So that's sort of like, you know.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I was gonna bring something up about the movie too. As a wrestling fan, the amount of scenes where like, is that like Leonardo DiCaprio meme where you're like pointing at the TV? Like, that's how I looked when I seen them bust out like German suplexes and fucking Green Goblin did. I don't know if it was a spine buster or an actual like power bomb, but it was literally like through 3 floors.
All the way
not 3. It was like, it was like
all the way to the like lobby.
7 or 8 floors through the like. I was like, God damn. It was like the brutality that we would see in the first Spider-Man too. So it was like, you know, it was cool to see that they didn't just make like Willem Dafoe like, here's some bomb, Spider-Man, and
he slipped back into that role so effortlessly.
Yeah, I mean, he was beating the shit out of him. Yeah,
and he said in interviews he wanted to do his own stunts, and like props to like him, like, I mean, he's got plenty of.
That's why he's Willem DaGoat.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, sure.
Hey, I'm not alone on that one. I didn't even make that joke up.
Yeah, but you saying it hurts.
Okay, yeah, for sure. It just feels like it comes from a different place, you know. It's just,
that wasn't me talking. That was my demons.
Yeah.